Jake, a devoted son, learns that his parents left everything to his lazy, entitled brother Eric in their will. Despite years of supporting them financially, Jake is left out. Feeling betrayed and exhausted, he takes a stand, cutting ties with his family, and finally choosing his own happiness over years of manipulation and self-sacrifice. Hi everyone, I'm David, the storyteller on the Family Tales channel. Here, I'll share stories about love, conflicts, betrayal, and infidelity within American families. These stories offer a deep look into relationships and the challenges families face. Stay tuned and explore with me. If you love emotional stories and want to uncover the hidden secrets in families, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our videos. I'm Jake, and any uncertainties I had about my place in the family vanished the moment I discovered the will. It wasn't even a dramatic sit-down moment where my parents delivered the news personally. No, I discovered it completely by chance, purely by coincidence. A few months back, I found myself at their house, the very place I had been contributing to for the last 5 years. I handled the mortgage, took care of the grocery runs, and managed all the repairs around the house, while my brother, Eric, contributed nothing at all. And when I say nothing, I truly mean nothing. Without a job or any responsibilities, he simply lounges around, expecting life to deliver everything he desires on a silver platter, a service my parents seem all too eager to provide. On that day, I was assisting my dad with some paperwork since, as always, neither of them could be bothered to handle things on their own. He requested that I prepare some documents for him, a collection of legal and financial materials, and I didn't hesitate at first, until I laid eyes on it. A folder marked estate plan and last will and testament is positioned right there in the stack. I usually respect privacy, but my curiosity got the better of me this time. Ultimately, I was the one ensuring they had shelter over their heads. It was reasonable to question how the future was organized. I opened it, and that's when I saw the words that sent my stomach plummeting. All things, and I truly mean all things, were directed towards Eric. The home, their investments, their resources. There wasn't any reference to me, aside from a vague statement about having equal affection for both of their sons. Absolutely, no problem, in the same manner. That's why they ensured their favored one would receive it all, while the son who truly supported them didn't even get a mention. I felt utterly foolish. There I was, going above and beyond for them, ensuring their bills were settled promptly, making certain they never had to stress about meals, all while they lounged and schemed for a future where I received nothing in return. What about Eric? He wasn't merely lazy. He had a sense of entitlement. He never offered any assistance, never gave a cent, yet he managed to persuade them that he was entitled to everything. Perhaps it was due to him being the younger son. Perhaps it's because they consistently coddled him. Perhaps it was because he understood precisely how to control them. For whatever reason, they had made their decision. I remained seated, fixated on the paper, my hands trembling from a blend of anger and treachery. For how long had they been scheming this? Were they always planning for me to serve as their financial safety net without receiving anything in return? Did they ever truly recognize the efforts I made for them? I lost track of time while sitting there, but eventually, my dad realized I wasn't looking at anything. "Hey, Jake, why the delay?" he inquired, re-entering the room. I didn't even try to conceal the will. I raised it high and stared him straight in the eye. "Is this really how things are?" I stated, my tone unsettlingly composed. "Is everything for Eric? After all that I've done for you?" For a brief moment, my dad's face lost all color, but then he let out a sigh, as if I were just a child having a fit. "Jake, you've got it all wrong. Seriously. I lost my cool, because it seems pretty obvious to me. I've been covering the mortgage, assisting with groceries, and renovating the house while Eric contributes nothing. Yet you still chose to prioritize him above all else. Dad seemed uneasy, yet rather than providing a clear explanation, he simply mumbled, "It's complicated." That was the end. No regrets. No effort to explain it beyond those two meaningless words. It felt like a flimsy justification paired with a hopeful gaze, as if he anticipated that I would let it slide and revert to being their financial provider. I should have left at that moment, but I was curious to hear their sides of the story. I shouted for my mom. Upon entering and spotting the will in my hands, her response was hardly any more favorable. She showed some semblance of guilt, yet the words that escaped her lips ignited a fury within me. "Jake, darling, you really don't need the inheritance," she said softly, as if she were granting me a kindness. "Your job is commendable. You stand on your own. Eric faces challenges. Our priority is to ensure he receives the care he needs." That was the moment everything changed for me. They didn't even try to deny it. They were fully aware of their actions, and in their perspective, it was entirely warranted. After years of fostering Eric's laziness, they were now set to reward him with everything, while I was left feeling like an afterthought. I inhaled deeply, tightened my jaw, and placed the will on the table. "Understood," I replied, my tone unsettlingly composed, relieved to have clarity on our position. With determination, I pivoted and exited the house, disregarding their objections as I forcefully shut the door behind me. Their decision was made. Now it was my turn to create my own. I never returned to their house after that. I did not make a call. I failed to check in. After a long time, I finally allowed them to deal with their own issues. Should they require a solution, they would find a way to resolve it. If they required groceries, they could navigate to the store on their own. And above all, when that mortgage bill arrived, I was no longer the one responsible for paying it. The quiet stretched on for roughly 2 weeks. Initially, I believe they thought I was merely sulking and would eventually return, as I usually do. Perhaps they thought I would calm down and express regret for having the audacity to challenge their choice. However, as the days went by without any communication from me and, crucially, without any financial support, you could almost sense the change in their demeanor. Then, one afternoon, my phone broke down. Dad sent a message, "The property taxes are due." That was the end. He didn't send a text. "Hey, how's it going? I apologize for what occurred. We truly value all that you've accomplished." It feels like a distant, impersonal communication, as if I were merely a source of funds they could access at their convenience. I gazed at the screen for a moment, finding it almost entertaining how utterly predictable they had become. Did they honestly believe they could just ask for money as if nothing had occurred? That I would continue to fulfill my role as their financial safety net, despite their clear indication that I was expendable? I replied with a sense of assurance, confident that Eric would take care of it, given that the house belongs to him. Exactly 5 minutes passed before my mom called. I allowed it to ring. Subsequently, another message arrived. Mom messaged, "Jake, please don't act this way. It's time for a conversation." Oh, so now they're interested in having a conversation. With their bills stacking up, reality was finally hitting them hard. I took my time before responding. "There's really nothing to discuss. Your decision has been made. Now you can embrace it." I thought that would wrap things up for the day. My position was unmistakable, and I felt no remorse whatsoever. However, Eric chose to add his thoughts. His message arrived late that evening, and the moment I noticed his name appear on my phone, I sensed it would be something irritating. Indeed, as I opened it, I was met with sheer entitlement. Eric messaged, "Man, why are you acting like such a drama queen? It's really nothing to worry about. Simply assist them as you consistently do." I almost burst out laughing. Is it really not significant? He was truly behaving as if I had no reason to be upset about this. I replied, "No. I believe you have it under control." "Considering you're the top choice in everything," Eric texted. "Can you believe it? Are you really upset about the will? It's time to mature, dude. It's merely currency." Oh, now it was merely cash. Now that it was his to inherit, it suddenly seemed insignificant. The level of hypocrisy was truly remarkable. I retorted, "So you won't have any issue using some of that cash to cover the mortgage, correct?" Quiet. A few minutes later, my mom messaged me again, this time really laying on the guilt. Mom sent a message. "Jake, remember, we're your parents. Family looks out for one another. We invested so much in you while you were growing up, and now it feels like you're leaving us behind." I needed to pause and collect myself to prevent my phone from flying across the room. Leaving them behind? For years, I dedicated myself to ensuring they faced no hardships, while they indulged Eric and praised his lack of effort. So, after facing the fallout from their own choices, I somehow became the villain. I wasn't buying into it. "This isn't happening now," I replied. "You made it obvious that I wasn't considered part of the family when you excluded me from the will. Eric is here to look after you now." I can totally picture my mom gasping in a dramatic way at that. She consistently had a knack for portraying herself as the victim, even when she was actually at fault. A few minutes later, my dad sent another text, and this one made me furious. Dad sent a message. "We're not asking for a lot. Only sufficient to manage the mortgage for a few additional months while we sort things out. Consider others." Self-centered. The word ignited a fire within me. For years, I had been rescuing them, pouring my own resources, time, and effort into making their lives more manageable. I had fulfilled all the expectations of a devoted son. And what was their way of repaying me? By ensuring I received no rewards in exchange. So here I am, finally standing up for myself, and somehow I'm the selfish one. I tightened my jaw, inhaled deeply, and replied, "No. I'm finished." After that, I powered down my phone. Their decision was final. They were about to embrace it fully. The quiet endured for a full day. I was aware that my parents wouldn't back down so easily, but I didn't anticipate what unfolded next. The following morning, I was greeted by a notification on my phone, a request for a bank transfer. I scowled, unlocking my phone to take a look. It came from my mom. She really thought she could just ask me for money, as if I were an ATM. "What's the total?" $3,500. I looked at it in shock, partly chuckling at the boldness. No message, no explanation provided. It was a stark, unapologetic request for the precise sum required to settle their past-due mortgage. They had stopped asking altogether. They thought I would just give in. I rejected it immediately. Just a few minutes later, my phone started ringing. It was my mother. I allowed it to ring. Next, another message arrived. My mom just sent a text. "Jake, I'm aware you noticed the request. What was the reason for your decline?" I delayed my response, as it isn't my obligation. "Give Eric a shot." Yet another call. Rejected. Then another text. My mom sent a message. "If we don't get your help, we might lose the house." Oh, so now it's an urgent situation. After all those years of seeing me as nothing more than a source of money, they were finally confronting the repercussions. I responded, "Perhaps you should have considered that before concluding I was insignificant." Moments later, Dad joined the conversation. Dad, are you seriously going to allow your parents to end up without a home? That really got me to laugh out loud. The deceit was so obvious it was nearly amusing. They had money. They were not going to end up homeless. They simply preferred not to touch their own savings, as they had grown accustomed to me handling all the expenses. I chose to disregard them for the remainder of the day. That evening, I received a message from Eric. "Come on, just transfer the cash already. You're blowing this out of proportion." I tightened my jaw. This arrogant individual truly believed he could give me a lesson. I responded, "Are you referring to the money you're set to inherit? Why not go ahead and send it?" He replied quickly. Eric sent a message. "I really don't have that kind of money at the moment." Oh, so now it was all about the cost. He had no problem with me emptying my accounts, but as soon as it was his turn, in an instant he found himself with nothing to give. I responded, "You should probably sort it out, my dude. You are the selected one." No reply. I went to bed feeling strangely serene, as if I had finally liberated myself from years of control. However, the following day, things intensified. While I was at work, I received a call from the front desk of my apartment. "Hello, Jake. Oh, your parents have arrived." I almost let my phone slip from my grasp. "What is going on?" She paused momentarily before contributing. "They claim it's urgent and that you're not responding to their calls." Ah, mine, divine. They arrived at my apartment simply because I ceased to pay their bills. I inhaled deeply, pressing my fingers against the bridge of my nose. Kindly refrain from allowing them access. I don't anticipate their arrival. An uncomfortable silence lingered. They're being a bit aggressive. I tightened my jaw. I'm indifferent. They are free to go. I ended the call and instantly received a message from Mom. "We're located on the lower level. Kindly open the door." Absolutely no question about it. No explanation provided. Simply another request. I chose not to respond. Here's another message from Mom. "Jake, we're not going anywhere until you have a conversation with us." I let out a quick breath, rising from my desk. They had no intention of yielding. All right. I was ready to impart a memorable lesson to them. I snatched my keys and rushed down the stairs, my anger simmering. I felt no fear. I was absolutely livid. The nerve of these individuals to arrive at my doorstep without an invitation, expecting cash, as if I were their own personal bank machine. No phone call beforehand. No sincere apology whatsoever. It was an outright surprise attack. They honestly believed they could just trap me into compliance as if I were some gullible child. I pulled the door wide open. There they were. Mom, Dad, and of course Eric, all huddled together as if preparing for a family intervention. Mom stood with her arms crossed. Her timelessly disapproving mother appeared ready for action. Dad stood rigidly, hands tucked into his pockets, his face a blend of annoyance and a sense of superiority, as if he couldn't fathom that I was truly making him confront this in person. What about Eric? The tiny leech had the audacity to appear uninterested, as if this entire predicament was merely a slight annoyance for him, as though he wasn't the cause of any of it unfolding. The instant Mom laid eyes on me, she turned on the drama. "Jake, at last. It's time for a conversation." I stood by the doorframe, arms folded. "Negative. It's time for you to go." She blinked, seemingly unable to grasp what I had just said. "Pardon me. You got that right." My voice was steady, composed, yet assertive. "You can't just arrive at my apartment and expect me to hand over money. That's unbelievable." Dad emitted a quick, dismissive scoff. "Are you seriously going to allow us to lose the house because of a trivial grudge?" I released a chilling chuckle. "Minor resentment? Oh, you mean the situation where you thought I was worthy enough to cover your expenses but not worthy enough to be included in your will? The lingering resentment. Mom gasped, her hand flying to her chest, as if I had just struck her. Jake, that's really not right. We acted in what we believed was the best interest of the family. I inclined my head. Ideal for the family. You mean the best option for Eric? Go ahead and say it. Quiet. A prolonged, weighty quiet. After a prolonged silence, Eric finally broke his quietude and spoke up. Honestly, I really don't want to get mixed up in this. I didn't request anything. I faced him, finally unleashing my feelings. No, you simply relax and accept whatever comes your way. At the age of 28, Eric, find yourself a job. His face flushed with color. Bro, what's going on? I moved in a bit closer. You got that right? Are you looking to take over the house? Begin to embrace the responsibilities of home ownership. Do you aspire to be the favored one? Begin settling their bills promptly. I'm finished acting as your financial support. Eric averted his gaze, suddenly captivated by the pavement. Mom inhaled deeply, adjusting her feelings of guilt. Jake, he's your sibling, I acknowledged with a nod. Absolutely. And I've been in his corner longer than you ever were. Dad's expression soured. Your actions are self-centered. I chuckled, an authentic, heartfelt laugh. Oh, that's quite amusing coming from you. I motioned between them. You both concluded that Eric was entitled to it all, while I was worth nothing. Now that the consequences of your decision have arrived, it seems you're attempting to sway me into resolving it on your behalf. That's not going to work. Mom's voice became more intense. We expected you to handle this with maturity. I arched an eyebrow. Adult? So you expect me to just accept the betrayal and continue covering your expenses? Let's face it, that's exactly what you were after. Dad moved closer, attempting to tower over me as he did when I was younger. Jake, we brought you up. We provided for you, dressed you, offered you all that you needed. Please lend us your assistance at this moment. I stared him straight in the eye. I have already completed that. For many years. You paid me back by excluding me. Mom's lip quivered. We believed you would get it. I let out a breath, shaking my head in disbelief. I completely get it. I realized that I was never truly part of your family, merely a source of income. Once more, silence reigns. An oppressive, inescapable stillness. I glanced at Eric, who continued to act as if he were unseen. And you? What's your reason? You had ample time to mature, to organize your life, to make a meaningful contribution. However, that didn't happen, because you were confident they would look after you. So when they're out of the picture, you thought I would just take over, right? Eric reached his breaking point. What do you expect me to say, dude? This wasn't something I requested. I nodded with deliberation. Exactly. You didn't inquire. You've just gained an advantage. His mouth opened and then shut. 0. He possessed nothing. Mom made one final attempt to lay on the guilt. Jake, we're all in this together. Family looks out for one another. I gazed at her for a prolonged moment before responding, precisely. Why didn't you look after me? She stood still. No words. No response. 0. I exhaled deeply, sensing a newfound lightness that I hadn't experienced in years. Our work here is complete. I pivoted and made my way back indoors, shutting the door firmly behind me. Before I even got back to my couch, my phone went off. A fresh message from Dad. incredible. After all that we've done for you, are you seriously going to leave us behind? I grinned, responding with a quick message. Negative. You left me behind. I'm finally coming to terms with it. I have committed a transgression. After that, I cut off their numbers. However, I was completely unaware that blocking them would only escalate the situation. Things quickly began to spiral out of control. Just under a day after I blocked them, posts began appearing on Facebook. My parents weren't exactly the most tech-savvy, but they definitely had a knack for expressing their complaints online, particularly when they felt justified. Initially, I believed it was merely my parents being overly theatrical. That was definitely their signature tactic, putting family issues on full display for all to witness. As I continued to scroll through their feeds, it became increasingly clear that this situation extended beyond my inability to contribute to the bills any longer. The posts appeared to be about family affection, yet they were subtle jabs directed at me. Mom shared a post expressing her disappointment about raising a son who seems selfish, emphasizing that true family supports one another through thick and thin. Some of her friends remarked that I was a letdown and completely disconnected from what truly counts. Then, Dad added his own post. Families should always be there for you in your time of need. We dedicated ourselves entirely to our children, and this is the outcome we receive. My son, who was meant to support us in our golden years, has decided to turn his back on us. He tagged me, finishing with a subtly biting, "I hope you're happy." However, the true surprise came from Eric. I really should have anticipated his involvement in the chaos. He posted something that was full of inaccuracies. Some individuals believe that family revolves solely around finances. They fail to grasp that family revolves around love and sacrifice. I'm willing to go to great lengths for my parents, but it seems some individuals just don't understand that. They are so absorbed in their own lives that they fail to see that genuine love involves supporting those who brought you up. He even slipped in a subtle dig at me. It would be great if certain individuals could truly understand the essence of being family. I appreciate my parents deeply, and am thankful for all they have provided. That was the end. That was the moment I reached my limit. I found myself glued to the screen, unable to comprehend what I was seeing. How did it reach this stage? They had completely flipped this situation, portraying me as the villain, the ungrateful son who refused to support his selfless parents, the son who failed to recognize all the love they had shown me throughout the years. How could they possibly? I have always been the diligent one, the one who put in the effort, the one who never voiced any grievances. I had to come to terms with the reality that, for some reason, they had managed to persuade themselves of their righteousness. And now, they were spreading the word that I was the issue. I preferred not to respond right away. I paused for a moment, gathered my thoughts, and took some time to reflect. I aimed to avoid acting impulsively out of frustration, yet the more I reflected on the situation, the clearer it became that I couldn't allow them to escape the consequences of their actions. If they intended to tarnish my reputation, I was determined to clarify the truth. I took out my phone and began to type. I created my personal Facebook account, reserved for my closest friends and family, and shared an extensive update. I had no desire to participate in their game. I aimed to avoid getting caught up in trivial exchanges. I aimed to express the truth. Here is what I composed. I realize I've been silent for the last few days, but I can no longer remain silent. My family has been posting numerous things online about me that are just not accurate. I've been depicted as the antagonist, the self-centered individual who turns away from my parents when they require assistance. I'm here to clarify the facts. I have consistently supported my family. Since I first started working, I've taken on the responsibility of helping with bills, covering groceries, and providing support in every possible way. However, there reaches a moment when you can no longer continue to give without receiving the respect you deserve. Throughout the years, I've seen my parents prioritize Eric, providing him with everything: the house, the money, the attention. In the meantime, I was anticipated to continue giving without ever being regarded as an equal. Some of you may be reading this and thinking that's simply how family operates. However, the reality is this: family ought to be a reciprocal relationship. Discovering that my parents bequeathed everything to Eric in their will made me see just how unbalanced this whole relationship really was. I wasn't even on their radar, not for a single instant. It's obvious that I'm the go-to person when times are tough, but I'm never the one they genuinely desire to have around, unless it suits their needs. For years, I've been the one supporting their way of living. I've covered vacation costs, contributed to bills, and even assisted with expenses like the house taxes. And for what purpose? Is being seen as a secondary option really what I deserve? I'm finished. I refuse to be seen as just a source of funds for their convenience. I am a person, and I am entitled to respect. I deserve to be valued, not only when I'm needed for something. It's time for Eric to mature. At 28 years old, he has yet to hold a job. He has consistently avoided accountability for his actions. It's no wonder he's the favorite, given how long my parents have supported him. However, the point is this: he's had ample opportunity to sort out his life. Now, he must take the initiative to be independent. To all who have been engaged in this situation and backing my parents, it's important to recognize that every story has multiple perspectives. Absolutely. While family holds significance, the essence lies in mutual respect. I've contributed plenty over the years, and I won't feel guilty for prioritizing myself now. This isn't me abandoning my family. This is me, at last, prioritizing my own needs. I wish my parents all the best. But I am finished being walked all over. I clicked post, and immediately a wave of relief washed over me. For the first time ever, I was revealing the reality of my family, how they had exploited me for years, always expecting me to be their savior without ever considering my own needs. I refused to allow their story to dictate my life any longer. The responses came immediately. Several individuals whom I hadn't spoken to in ages reached out to show their support. Several of my cousins, friends of my parents, and even some distant relatives liked the post, reaching out with private messages expressing their sympathy for what I had experienced. It was incredibly liberating to finally reveal the truth, no longer hidden beneath guilt and manipulation. However, the response was not what was expected. My parents and Eric lost their minds. Eric sent me a message saying, "You're a traitor. Did you really need to share all our private matters like this? Your disregard for family is evident." Dad called me, almost shouting into the phone, "You've messed everything up, Jake. This will come back to haunt you. You'll wish you hadn't severed ties with us. Turning your back on your own family will lead to regret." However, I had no regrets about it, not even for a moment. I've cut them off completely. I had reached my limit. For the very first time in my life, I experienced true freedom, released from the harmful hold that confined me for such an extended period. With each passing day, I sensed the burden gradually easing away. I was finished with being regarded as inferior. I was finished being the person who was always relied upon to solve everyone else's issues. At last, I was able to embrace the freedom to shape my life according to my own desires. I don't regret cutting them off at all. I was worthy of more. I continue to do so. From this point forward, I will be surrounding myself with individuals who value me for my true self, rather than for what I can offer them. It's time for me to progress. Permanently, I certainly will. Share your thoughts in the comments below. That's it for today's story. If you found it moving, don't forget to share the video with your friends and family. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.